Hi, I'm Cat Navarro Lee with IdeateTV, and I'm here with Anthony, who's the writer, director for Unlikely Allies, which is a documentary, and I'd love to hear more about the story.
Sure. Unlikely Allies is the story of Weldon Angelo. He was a young hip hop producer in the early aughts. He grew up in Salt Lake City. He was working with Snoop and some of Tupac's Outlaws and bringing hip hop acts up to Salt Lake City. He was also selling cannabis and had a young family and was just on the verge of, kind of being successful in music when an old friend of his called him and set him up to do 3 controlled buys for the feds who were trying to paint Weldon to look like a gang member and were using his rap lyrics to incriminate him and paint a picture to the jury that he was a gangster. And they gave him 55 years for a nonviolent cannabis offense, his first-time offender. They threw gun charges on him because the snitch said that Weldon carried a gun, although he never brought it out or brandished it or used it in a threatening manner. Just the snitch saying that the gun was there opened up an opportunity for them to offer Weldon 105 years. So they offered him a plea of 15 years. He wouldn't take it. He took it to trial, and they hung him for 55 years.
That is a crazy story. How did you first come upon this?
Well, he was released early because it became such an embarrassment for the Justice Department, and so many people were coming out of the woodwork to support Weldon. There was Senator Mike Lee, who's highly conservative. There was Cory Booker, who was very liberal, and it's caught the attention of the Koch brothers, who surprisingly are huge criminal justice reform advocates, although they're one of the biggest polluters on the planet. They do fight for returning offenders that come back to society. They've removed the check the box thing off of applications because of the lobbying they've done. But the Koch brothers took up Weldon's case, and they used it to drive new legislation, which culminated in the signing of the First Step Act. And eventually Weldon was afforded a pardon, and he joined back up with Snoop and a couple of other advocates, and they were able to earn a pardon for Harry O, who was the co-founder and financier of Death Row Records, after doing 33 years himself.
How did you first get involved?
I got involved with this because I worked pretty closely with Mark Levin on a lot of his productions in the past 5-6 years. And he had this project, and I was in LA, and he said, hey, I should come by the studio and take a look at this project. And so I went by and watched the teaser, and he said, would you like to work on it? And I said, absolutely. And they gave me a bunch of hard drives with all this footage, and we started sorting through it and worked with a couple of editors, and were able to, pull it all together.
That sounds like a lot of different layers of work. What were some of the biggest roadblocks that you had to go through?
Well, because at first Weldon didn't have a pardon. He was just out, and it was like, okay, that's a great story. He's out, but there's a lot of questions. Is he in music again? What's he going to do about music? What's he going to do? Is he going to be an advocate? Is he going to just get a job and work quietly? And so we kind of just let the story develop, and eventually he did earn a pardon, and we thought, okay, great, that's the end of it. And then they were like, well, look, we have a chance to maybe get some people out before Trump gets out of office. So he pulled some strings and got a movement going, and he was able to he talked to Snoop, and Snoop said, I'd really like to get Harry O out. And so they put together a team, and they got it in front of Ivanka, and Ivanka got it to her dad, and they released Michael Harris. And it was one of the last pardons that Trump gave before he left office.
That is powerful. So you've learned a lot of things through this process.
Yeah, I've learned that the justice system is only real, and those rules apply to regular folks like myself and a lot of my other friends who have done time like me. I did 5 years, and I applied for clemency and didn't get it. I didn't have a Snoop Dogg. I didn't have an Ivanka Trump. And we worked with Alice Johnson, who Kim Kardashian got out. These people that have a lot of power, that are entertainers, and have access, they're actually more powerful than the judicial system, because you can go through the Department of Justice and work on getting a clemency, and not a lot of folks get them. But if you have somebody that has a voice and has that kind of power, and they're willing to stick their neck out for you, things can happen a lot quicker.